My name's Blimes. I'm
Mm-hmm.
from San Francisco, California. Proud to be living in LA for 16 years. This city's been, really wonderful to me, really hard at some times, and, very fruitful in others. And I've met amazing, incredible people here who are passionate about what they do and their art and how to amplify it to the world. And I've learned so much since I've been here. So whenever I share my pride about San Francisco, it reminds me, and I'm also really grateful to be in Los Angeles.
I hurt myself the other day and I could barely feel it. I've been focused on another cut and how to heal it. My phone reminds me of your face in inconvenient moments.
How did you get involved in the arts?
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel it was a calling for you?
I didn't get into the arts. I was born right into the art. My father's a blues musician, and my grandfather was a jazz musician. So my father's band I was born in 1989. For the kids at home, I'm 13 years old. I'm 17. I actually always feel pretty weird about saying my age because I feel like, especially as a woman in the music industry, there's a stigma around age. But
In any industry?
what I've realized, especially, when I take a deeper look at the people who are the most successful and I see when they got their wins and when they really, peaked in their career, I feel less insecure about it. So we're destigmatizing age because success comes, I believe, when you're ready for it. And I've had wins, but I think that this is like the period in my life that I'm ready for longevity and long-term sustainable success. So it comes when you're ready, and I believe that. So to all my girls out there, all my folks out there worried about their age, don't. Life is for the living. Yeah. So I was born in San Francisco in 1989. My dad's band was playing out a lot, like every night in San Francisco, and they were gaining popularity in the blues scene. There was a huge blues scene in San Francisco, in the North Beach district, um, which is little Italy of San Francisco. Lots of saloons, and my mom was out at the shows and a fan of the band, so I'm sure without a doubt that I was grooving in utero, in the womb, to the music. My father's band became, successful. I wouldn't say they blew up outside of their genre by any means, but they've blues charted and they've had a touring career for my entire life. So he's on the road. They're still on the road. He's been on the road 3/4 of the year my entire life. And so, yeah, I was raised around musicians. I was raised on the stage, on the side of the stage. My hearing is terrible. Thank you, parents. But I wouldn't trade it. So I was raised, in different people's arms while they're watching the show. Bonnie Raitt held me backstage at the what is the name of that venue in San Francisco? Do you know
Fillmore?
where the DNA Lounge is now? It was on that same street, and they closed. Slims. Um, my dad was playing with Bonnie Raitt at Slims, they were opening up for Bonnie Raitt, and he had to go on stage, and I think my mom wasn't there yet, and Bonnie's like, "I'll hold her," and she held me. So, um, you know, when I was 10, my dad was on tour with BB King and Buddy Guy, opening up for them, and my graduation gift, from the 5th to 6th grade from Tommy Castro, the leader of my dad's band, was a Fender Squier at that show. And, he walked me backstage to meet BB King. And I was just really blessed. And I didn't think I knew how blessed I was to be rubbing shoulders or be, raised by such a powerful village, such an incredibly impactful village, and just around music all the time. What a gift, It definitely wasn't a sheltered upbringing. It was an open and free and very fun upbringing. So yeah, that's who I am. That's where I'm from, and the music, I was born into it, and there's nothing I could do to eradicate it from my life.
That's amazing. What's it like being the child of a musician?
You know, my dad, especially with my love of music, and I think my
Who is your dad, by
yeah,
the way?
my dad's name's Randy McDonald. He's a bass player for Tommy Castro and the Painkillers. He and Tommy left a band, a funk and soul band called the Dynatones in the '80s to start the Tommy Castro band. So Tommy Castro is an amazing blues guitarist and vocalist, and my dad is a bassist, and they left the Dynatones to start that band together. And my dad's been with Tommy for over 30 years now. And yeah, it's been a dream and a gift. That's, you know, it's like uncle, all the guys in the band are like uncles to me and family to me, and their families are, you know, cousins to me. And we all just get to grow up going to, you know, music festivals, music venues, hearing music in the house at all times, always having, you know, I remember being a kid and having a tall tower, you know, of music station. It had the CD player, the tuner, the record player, the speakers. First of all, like, he was my hero, and I think because I have such a deep passion for music naturally, I think my queerness ties into my, you know, my adoration for my dad, because I think, you know, stylistically and clothing wise and look wise, like, he's cool, you know. He's like soul patch, kind of 90s heartthrob looking guy, playing the bass, just living his life, being himself, you know, and expressing himself freely. And his father was a jazz musician, trumpet and vocalist, and he was in the Navy. So he was in like the jazz quartet in the Navy, and getting to hear some of his old, I've heard him on vinyl, which is pretty cool, getting to hear him singing on vinyl or playing trumpet on vinyl. And growing up, when he came to visit, watching him and my dad sit on the couch and look at his trumpets and play them was really cool. So the band that I'm in now, we make soul music and some blues music as well. Blues inspired. You know, I wouldn't call it traditional or even Americana in any way, but it's definitely got some roots to it, and it feels good to be following in his footsteps.
So when he's out touring,
Yeah.
what's your childhood like? Are you
Yeah.
going with him, or are you going with him in summers and
You know, I never went
on tour?
on tour. No, I stayed home. My mom took care of us, and you know, my mom worked as well, because is a humble artist life. Like, truly, you know, we lived in a 2-bedroom apartment in San Francisco. Me, my sister, my mom, and my dad. And my dad was out on the road trying to earn his living, working very hard to earn his living. And my mom's a makeup artist, and she went in to work at the department stores during the day. So, you know, it was a lot of like latchkey kid after school program, or me taking care of my sister and I. I gained independence very young. I was taking the bus around San Francisco in 4th and 5th grade, and I loved it. I loved that independence. I loved feeling like a little grown up. I loved sitting at the adult table. I loved chatting with the adults. You know, in hindsight, you know, there were some times that I was super lonely, and you know, I think that manifested in ways that I still deal with today. And I also think that that's part of childhood, is the ways that our conditions, our environment, whatever they are.
What is it about this life, this profession, that keeps you in it regardless of success?
That's a great question. One, the way it makes me feel when I've completed a song, when I've written a song. And I'll get into that in a second, because reason number 2 is really, really important to me. But I would be lying if I didn't say that that feeling isn't like a high and a driving force in why I enjoy continuing this. But the second reason is very, very important, and I think it keeps my foot on the gas, is the responses from people, from human beings, when we play a live show and I see people in the room have the opportunity to allow themselves to experience joy and happiness despite whatever life circumstances. Oof, this one gets me. whatever life circumstances might be happening, to see a room full of people in our demographic is something that I believe that I called in, you know, because our current manager, when she came on board, she said, who's your demographic? If you could describe one person to me, what would that person be? Who are they? And I said, I can't. It is so many different types of people, older people, younger people, you know, black, white, Asian, Latino people, Middle Eastern, European people. It is queer people, straight people, large people, small people, able-bodied people. When we play a show in a room full of all those different types of people, and trans people come and feel safe there, and you know, older people come and don't feel ostracized or not cool enough, and my friends can come with their parents and have an amazing time. That makes me so happy to see that our music bridges generations, transcends genre and stereotype and lifestyle. We have a good time on stage, and we allow for the room to feel that joy. And so I know that I'm doing it in service of that. I know that when I receive messages and DMs from people on the internet saying like, your music got me through one of the darkest times in my life, or your dedication to your self-love or your recovery or your weight loss has inspired my own, or when somebody says, I'm not out yet, but I want to be, and seeing what you do and living out loud every day inspires me to find the courage to do so. That's really what keeps me going. Because, like, you know, the feeling of gratification is, you know, a self-fulfilling feeling when we're writing songs together and they feel really good. And I'm like, this one's really special. But I can never be sure which one is going to translate to people. And in fact, oftentimes my least favorite songs are the ones that people gravitate towards, which reminds me that taste is just taste. I have no idea what people are gonna like, you know. I just transmit I turn on my antenna in the studio and I pull the ideas out from wherever they're coming from, and I transmit, you know, whatever's coming through that day. So a big part of my job is keeping that channel clear. A big part of my job is waking up and taking care of myself, is getting to the gym or going to yoga or doing a breathing exercise, sitting down and journaling and writing and doing the brain drain and getting all the gunk out from this crazy, insane life we're all living as human beings. So for me, I continue to stay in this business, whether it's lucrative or not, because there's no other feeling like that. I feel as though this is my most impactful way to be of service to people.
When you're in that transmission mode, or with a crowd, or when you're in these, what you just described, when you're in these states, are you identifying with a piece of yourself that's higher or outside of the regular realms of which we usually identify in our day-to-day society? Is there something more that you're identifying with?
You know, it's hard to put my finger on that, just because this is such a huge part of who I am, that these days it doesn't really become super clear to me where that part of my purpose ends and where it begins, because I really do walk down the street and try and interact with human beings on a daily basis from a place of service. And so when I'm transmitting or I'm, you know, receiving something, I don't know if I'm attuned enough with the on and off switch of it to know the difference between the moments that I am receiving this message and the moments that I'm just caring about life on a regular basis, because I do feel that I get to be the same person in the studio and on the stage as I am in my regular life. On stage, there's a certain level of energy and charisma that I definitely have to flip on. It's something that comes alive in me. Like, even if I'm like not feeling well or I'm not having a great day, it's not something that I can help. Like, when I get up there, it just happens. But there isn't a conscious switch, I think, between that transmission mode and the observational mode of walking around in life in everyday matters and affairs. And I try and be the same person through and through. But obviously, you know, I have to work to keep myself available emotionally, energetically to be that person. You know, if I'm having a really hard time and I'm feeling down on my luck and I'm feeling bad about myself and I'm not liking what I'm seeing in the mirror, I'm not liking the way that I handled a conversation yesterday, then it's likely that I'm not going to be that person through and through in every moment or in the next moment. But I do have self-awareness, thank God, and I get a chance to look at that, you know, and try and come back to what is my purpose here, what's the point of it all. And I think it's to be in harmony with other human beings and creatures.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
You talked about your
Not
mom.
to get woo-woo or anything.
No, that's exactly what we're here to do. Because to me, that's where music takes you. That's the power of music. Like the reason why I feel called to this business, because this is a place where it connects people. So part of me doing this series is to honor you connectors who are using your music to bring everyone, you know, in a room.
It's a beautiful reason that you've started this series. And I feel honored to be involved in it, because I do think it's really important that we celebrate that connection, that human connection, that global, universal, intergalactical, if you will, connection that we have, you know? So thank you for doing what you're doing. I think it's rad. My mom is, you know, I've never asked my mom if she's always been spiritual. But I do think that she has, you know, certain spiritual gifts that she's, from what I've heard from most people when they have those gifts, whether it's like clairvoyancy or there is a very cute baby squirrel over there that I am just like, that is so adorable. Hello, little baby.
He was running behind you earlier too.
You know, growing up, my mom had a spiritual community and spiritual practices. I think that the earliest I can remember her being steeped in that was when I was like a teenager. And it might have been earlier, I think, you know, just could have been too young to recognize it. But, you know, she had spiritual healers and clairvoyance in her life, and brought me to workshops about how to, you know, clear my energy and understand my chakras. And she would gift me, you know, crystals, and taught me this practice of gratitude, which I am so grateful for, because I think that is like one of the touchstones to my everyday happiness, is a practice of gratitude and just being able to recognize, you know, the positives, because life isn't all positive, you know. I am not one for the toxic positivity. Well, let's find the good in this right now. I think we all need to experience those highs and those lows and be allowed to feel the feelings of grief and you know, disappointment that come from them, and hurt and pain. But I think this practice of gratitude has really given me a best foot forward in life and every day, because I do not dwell. I do not get stuck in the negative, and I just keep pushing forward, you know. Like, there's been many disappointments. There's been many moments of great success that has crumbled quickly. There has been disappointment. There's been heartbreak. There's been immense grief in my life. And I think loss, you know, and being able to look back and find the purpose in it, to go, okay, well, I can be grateful for that, you know, and like know that I maybe couldn't see around the corner for what was ahead on the journey, but like whatever was guiding me could. And like, I would never ever trade the life that I have now for a past version of it. And so no matter what, like, if I thought that I was supposed to, you know, get this deal or be in this group with this person for the rest of my life, and it was going to take me around the world, or if I was supposed to, if this single was supposed to do this thing, or if, you know, the kid that I was raising with my ex was supposed to be, you know, I was supposed to be in his life as a parental figure for the rest of his life, whatever it was, like what I thought in the moment doesn't compare to the life that I live now. And so I just am able to be like, oh, okay, well, I'm grateful for those shifts and those changes that brought me to this, you know, this moment. I can see it all in hindsight. And that is definitely something that I can recognize in myself versus some peers or other people, on their own journey, that's like something that they still, haven't mastered. Is just being able to move forward from those difficult heartbreaks and thinking about it. Perspective is everything. So being able to shift that perspective to a more trusting, spiritual, faithful path, or a more trusting, spiritual, faithful perspective has always helped me to get through the tough stuff.
How does music help you get through those moments?
Yeah, music helps me get through those moments. I think I can transmute, a lot of that negative feeling. When I can write a song about heartbreak, or I can write a song about, the kid that I was raising, it gives me joy to create that art. And so it takes this really painful experience and turns it into a joyful one that I get to share with other people. That when I post about on the internet and I play live, that I get to connect with other human beings through other people that have had similar experiences, and whether or not it's the same one, universally we can relate to each other's feelings about it. So it's really vital to my processing of what's happened.
So what happened with this child, and what specific music or songs came out of it for you?
Being a part of someone's family, and I was in his mom's life before he was born and after he was born, and had the pleasure of getting to watch him from newborn to infancy to toddlerhood and be there for him as a parental figure in the home, and have that bond and connection with him. And when the relationship didn't work out, this was in another state, far away from my goals and my dreams. And when the relationship didn't work out and I had to leave, we weren't able to keep things friendly and amicable, and I wasn't able to be in his life anymore. And that was incredibly heartbreaking, like devastating, truly. One of the hardest thing that I've ever gone through is it felt like a death, losing a human being, and not just any human being. The love of a child and for a child is completely uncomplicated and entirely unconditional. The love for a child is completely uncomplicated and entirely unconditional. So it's a very, very painful loss, much like a pet, but different. Obviously, it's a whole human being, but like a pet, losing a pet is like very like it's an unconditional love. It's very uncomplicated, and so it was hard. It was really hard. So I wrote a song about that. It's called "Sincerely Yours." It's called "Sincerely Yours." Off my EP called "The Bridge," and yeah, that song. It was my birthday, the first one after the breakup, and I was so lonely, and I was like, well, the only thing that's gonna feel better right now is going to the studio. So I went to the studio, and that song just fell out of me on this amazing hip hop instrumental with this pained vocal sample on it that Chase Moore, my good friend, produced. And it fell out, and I thought it was such a unique experience, and I thought that people wouldn't understand that experience, and it's too complicated, or it's too unique. And I waited a long time to post, about the song and to explain a little bit of the story in vague terms online. And when I did, so many people commented, and so many people knew that experience and that pain of coming into a child's life and having to leave a child's life, whether by choice or not, and what that pain feels like. So I was very, very glad that I shared, because it became not just healing for me, but for other people. And that's one of those moments where I realized that this is my purpose. I have another song from the same project called Solitude, because that project was really all my healing process from that. This was happening during the pandemic. So from the pandemic back into out of Solitude. This project was my therapy for that, you know. I was also in therapy, guys. Like, I'm a huge advocate for therapy.
Highly recommended.
Highly recommend. But you know, this project was an arm of that healing, and it's called The Bridge because it was the bridge from one era of my life into the next, getting me over that rocky river of a time that was leaving, coming out of the pandemic, having had a record deal and great success in a hip hop duo called Blimes and Gab that I was in prior to the pandemic, leaving this relationship and then starting things fresh after we had all come out of extreme solitude. And I think, yeah, what it's like is a schlep. It is a real schlep. It is a real one foot in front of the other every single day. To just be like, even if I don't feel okay today, I will be okay. Even if I'm not okay, it will be okay. Even if it's not okay, I will be okay. You know, just that reminder constantly. It is, I would say that it's lonely, but it's not. It is lonely in the sense that you're craving the people that you're grieving. But I have beautiful people in my life that were there for me, that held me, my family, Elijah, my guitar player and producer, my best friend, you know, my best friends in my life that, you know, heard me talking about it 150 million times and still let me talk about it. You know, I felt very loved. I felt very cared for. I felt that there was people that I could call who would pick up the phone. And I think it's just a matter of choosing to help yourself through that time with those tools, you know, picking up the phone, calling people, telling people that you need help, telling people that you're not doing well, going to your creative outlets, going to your gratitude practice, going to getting into my body, which is moving, hiking, running, walking, yoga, breath work, like not just staying in here and letting it all turn over a million times, but really just working it through and out on the phone or through physical movement or on my notepad. It's just really getting it out, or on the microphone. So that's how we got through it, and that's what it felt like. And when I was on the other side of it, it's like when you're really sick and then you're hella sick and you think you'll never feel right or better again, and the day that you feel like 90% there, you're like, I'm on top of the world. I feel amazing. That's what it feels like to come out of, you know, a dark period. And I imagine, although I only suffer from situational depression, I imagine that that's what depression feels like too. And when you're coming out of it, that feeling like, wow, what a difference. So shouts out to triumph. Shouts out to getting to the other side of it. And you can do it. If you're in that place right now, like one foot in front of the other, next right indicated action, just do what's called for in this next moment. That's it. And you'll make it through. And please stay. I have been in recovery for many things and different layers of things for the last 8 years or so, and you know, just uncovering the roots of those things. And it's, for me, all related to my addiction to love, being cared for, and being enough. And so it's taken me a long time to figure out, you know, why I take it overboard with certain things, whether that could be, you know, food or relationships or alcohol or partying or socializing or spending money. It's all boils down to, I want to be liked, I want to be loved, and I want to feel like I'm enough. And so that's where the real healing has been, is in my recovery for knowing that I am enough and I'm worthy of a happy life. And so, yeah, I'm really grateful for recovery, and having a lot of these tools have been enhanced through that practice, through the 12 steps. Trust the journey, trust the process, as generic as it sounds. Trust God, trust your higher power, whatever it is that you look to, trust that you're on the right path. That trust gives me a certain ease of life that is invaluable. So, and this person that you're sitting next to right now would not be here if it wasn't for that.
You know, in LA especially, any creative act, there's this huge pressure to monetize it and make it a career.
Yeah, true.
How does the act of creativity serve as a replacement behavior?
Oh, it's the best.
Right?
It's such a good replacement behavior. Now, it depends on how aligned with myself and my purpose and my true desires I am. The amount that I'm going to my creativity versus my vices depends on how aligned I am with myself and my higher power. You know, it's like depends on how much I'm getting outside into nature, depends on how often I'm writing in my journal, depends on how much time I'm taking to be by myself, with myself, not on the phone, not texting, not scrolling, you know. And when I am doing those things, I want to pick up the phone less and less. And I want, like, in terms of scrolling, not communicating with people, but yeah, I want to pick up Instagram less and less, and I want to, you know, go out at night and stay out late less and less. You know, I want to get up early, and I want to be present for the sunshine and the day. And so yeah, I think and to show up for my music, and when I'm being creative and when I'm playing my music, I also get success in music. As much time as I dedicate to it, I get out of it, you know. And so I think that creativity is an amazing replacement to those vices, but it's discipline that I have to, you know, have. It's discipline that I have to practice to be able to choose that creativity over the mind-numbing true crime podcast. You know, I want to be learning something, not just going, oh, this is going to distract me from my life or my loneliness or my fears. I know immediately when I'm not, you know, in that zone, when I'm not in alignment, because it's when I'm feeling depleted and irritable and short-tempered and self-righteous and restless and craving something, you know, whether that's like, I need to be out tonight with people, or I need to go play a show, or I need to put on a cool outfit and be seen, or I need to, you know, go eat junk food, or, you know, I just want to drink tonight. It's like, that's when I'm out of alignment. That's when I'm not making enough time for the good stuff. I know it. It's like immediate versus the feeling of being like, I feel good. I feel refreshed today. I have a smile on my face. The weight of the world is not resting on mine and my shoulders only, and good things are coming. You know, when I'm in fear, which I get there often, you know, and I have to do the work to get out of it. But when I'm in fear, that's when I know that I'm not in alignment. That's when I'm not acting in faith. And like, I heard something recently that was incredible. How would you move if you knew that you're already blessed? If you knew that you already had it all? And using that as a daily reprieve right now is really helpful, because I can go, oh, I would handle that conversation completely differently, versus I would have that conversation in fear. I'd be over explaining myself. You know, let's say it's a conversation with an industry friend who wants to get me a meeting at a label, and they've really helped, you know, walk this entire process forward, and I am going in another direction, and let's just say that I need to tell this friend, like, thank you so much for your help, but I'm going in another direction. For somebody like me, who's, you know, naturally born, who's naturally fearful and insecure and worried about other people's perceptions, I would, you know, if I wasn't feeling aligned and I wasn't feeling whole in myself, and I wasn't believing that the blessings are continuing ahead for me, then I would have that conversation in a really timid way and be like, hey, look, I really appreciate everything that you've done for me, and like, I just want you to know that, like, I love you. Like, just like really over explaining myself, versus having that conversation as somebody who's assured that everything is exactly the way it's supposed to be, and that person wants to give me this opportunity, wants to help me no matter what the outcome is. When I'm not thinking that things are transactional and I'm not acting out of fear that I owe this person something and I have to do what they want me to, then I can have that conversation from a really assured, confident, kind, loving place, you know. And I think it's really important for me in this industry to move with not only assuredness and confidence but kindness. And I think the difference between confidence and cockiness is kindness and being able to do things kindly. And so being able to say, thank you so much for that opportunity. It was a great conversation. You know, there's some other things that are bubbling that seem like, you know, more aligned for me, and just knowing that everything's going to be okay and that person's going to love and respect me and want to help me out in the future if need be, you know. Turning off that lack mentality, turning off that fear, and knowing that that we are resourced and we are worthy no matter what decisions we make, as long as we make them from a place of love and kindness. So, yeah.
I'm hearing you saying like the present moment is enough, the sunshine is enough. Like, what is enough?
Yeah. It is having, you know, food in the fridge and gas in the car and friends in my life and time outside and, you know, touching grass and making music and being able to pay the rent and show up for people that I love. Do I think I could do more with more? Yeah. Do I want to help more people? Yeah. Do I want to get this music out to more people and play in more cities and share this experience? Absolutely. So I will strive for more, but I'm happy. I'm content. This is enough. This present moment is enough. This connection, this conversation is enough. I'm going to be fueled from this conversation for the rest of the week, you know, if not longer. So it's very nice.
I heard the one thing the creator can't do is reveal his own light on the earth. It has to be revealed through us.
Ooh, I just got goosebumps.
So even though you have enough now, I guess what if having more is just a way to be of service to the creator? I guess is how I look at it. But I guess what I'm trying to get at is, how do you reconcile that gratitude for where you're at now versus that hunger, that drive for wanting to move forward in abundance?
I think that if it's right for me, it'll be given to me. If I will know what to do with it, it will be given. If I will act in a way that serves greater purpose, then it will be given. I believe that. I really do. And if this is the most that I'm given, then I already have impacted the lives of many other people that I feel really grateful to have. It's interesting that you say that about the, you know, the light of the creator has to show up through us, because another quip that I keep in my front pocket to remind myself at all times to be more accepting of grace and gifts when they come to me is that God doesn't have hands. I use God as shorthand for higher power, for universal spirit, you know, Gus, sometimes, if you will. Great universal spirit. I have to learn to accept gifts from human beings. I had a really hard time accepting things, gifts, favors, help, asking. And somebody was like, God doesn't have hands. You think God's going to reach a hand out of the sky and hand you the money that you need to fund this tour, to go to pay your rent, to make a living for yourself? Like, that's going to come from human beings. You got to start saying yes. And that changed everything for me. That really helped me to receive graciously and gracefully.
As you do grow in your career, you mentioned about giving back and having more impact. What's your intention with that impact? What impact specifically do you want to have?
Yeah, I think for me, I think it's really important to make safe spaces for queer people, for trans people. I think right here at home, truly to invest as much as I can and help as much as I can with the liberation of human beings. If I can make, you know, an impact beyond my music, which my music is, I know inspires a lot of young people and queer people to be themselves, right? Which I think is a beautiful impact.
What would you say to young people growing out nowadays, aside from the politics, aside from the crisis du jour, right? Like, what would you want to tell young people about how to move forward in life?
Learn how to identify your feelings and learn how to communicate nonviolently, I think is really important. And I think learn how to love yourself, to have confidence and courage in your pursuits. I think the basis of peace is healthy communication, being able to communicate a need or communicate a dissatisfaction or communicate a issue or desire in a way that is received well, you know, and keeps people off guard. Now, is that possible that we can all do that? I don't know. We're all conditioned in certain ways. So many of us are traumatized and wounded and have different lenses on. But I think learning healthy, nonviolent, non-manipulative communication and practicing service to the world, moving with the intent of not abandoning yourself, but helping other human beings on a regular basis, I think we'd be in really, really good shape. I listen to artists like Coda the Friend, and he's talking about these tools. He's talking about healthy communication. He's talking about gratitude and taking care of yourself and self-love and care and courage and, you know, conflict. Rex Life Raj, for instance, talking about the loss of his parents and having emotion as an adult man, a black male in this, as a black male rapper in the industry, talking about his deep grief and sadness in really, really vulnerable ways. Queen Herbie, one of my friends and colleagues, you know, she's like, I'm feeling like that bitch because I've been taking my vitamins and doing my yoga, you know, and I feel able to conquer the world. Like, what a great message. What a cool message.
But let's talk about rap. Like, what do you see as the, even not just for yourself, about the societal and personal opportunity of rap?
Oh man, it is a funnel for information to the youth. It is so, and it was for me as a kid. I listened relentlessly, you know, to hip hop and rap, and every word, studied every line. Wu-Tang Clan to Jurassic 5 to Eminem and Dr. Dre to Lady Sovereign in the UK, The Streets, Dizzy Rascal. A lot of those people are why I got my name, my early name, Oh Blimey, and which then, you know, transitioned to Blimes later on, which is because I was like digesting a lot of UK media, British media, because I just was like obsessed with the language. I was obsessed with the jargon. I was obsessed with the slang and the accent. And knowing that like my father's family has some Welsh in our lineage, like maybe is the answer to like why I felt so connected to it. I have no idea. But like digesting hip hop, even Spanish music, even Spanish hip hop. I grew up with a lot of Latinos in San Francisco, in public school system, and digesting, you know, reggaeton from an early age. And just, I was obsessed with the rhythms and the expression and the way that you have the freedom to use your words in hip hop and say it however you want. I think it's such a cool funnel for the youth to be able to be like, oh yeah, this isn't stiff or square. I mean, it can be for sure, but like, when you're a teenager, your emotions are drastic. You're feeling all of these huge, giant emotions. And I think that's why hip hop connects, because a lot of it is vulgar without that having a negative context, but a lot of it is vulgar and extreme. And I think that you can connect to that. I connected to it as a teenager and was like, oh my God, this music is as big as my emotions. How cool. Somewhere to feel something. You know, let's put in my headphones and let's feel all the feelings. So yeah, incredibly impactful. Hip hop is a huge funnel for education. I'm in a band. It's a soul band. It's so fun. It's a pop soul band, and we still incorporate hip hop into it because I could never stop. It's called Blimesandthebando, and these guys that I play with are my brothers. Curtis Bird on the drum one drum, just one. Curtis Bird on the drums from Chicago, very, very experienced vet, and he's toured with many acts, many cool ass hip hop acts, and he finds the time to still play with us. And Elijah Gray on the guitar, who was part of platinum record selling group called Drop City Yacht Club from the Bay. He is an incredible producer, guitar player, songwriter. I have so much fun writing with him and performing with him. He learned how to play the guitar during the pandemic, and now that man can wail, and it's just a testament to the Gemini focus and determination. Benny Grape, he's on the keys and the saxophone. He's from Canandaigua, New York. He's 25 years old. He's a beast. He loves what he does. He came out here with the best attitude and has made a name for himself so quickly in the last 2 years. He and I met at a music supervision conference over breakfast, standing in line next to each other. And he showed up to some of our shows, and I got to know him better and invited him out to a jam with us, and then asked him if he wanted to join the band, and the rest is history. It's just so cool, this city and how we're all connected. So check out our music, Blimesandthebando. We only have a few singles out right now, but we have a ton of music ready to go, and if you come to our shows, you can hear it all. So Blimesandthebando, I'm really passionate about it. It's a great group, and I will always rap. I will always rap, and there's probably new rap music on the horizon, but I'm not going to talk about it yet.
What do your fans mean to you?
Oh, so much. They're actual friends. One of my fans is picking me up for dinner and a show tonight. They're good people, and I trust them, and I have a safe community online. I don't get hate, and there aren't a lot of fights in my comments, and there isn't a lot of, it's not the normal, laughing stock jokesville in my comments. It's good, supportive people that care about each other, and I have a really beautiful little community of fans called the Bandits, that I've opened up like the floor in the community to a few of the moderators that are fans of the music, and they're all running the community. If I don't pop in there for a month, they're having conversations and supporting each other through life's struggles and job loss and pet loss and parent loss and wins, and cheering each other on. And it's so beautiful that this little community has become actualized just from my music.
Yeah, thank you. This was a lovely picnic. I've really enjoyed it. We fed the bees today. We definitely fed the bees. There's a spiritual belief about bees. I don't know it right now, but maybe it could be a pop-up on the screen or something. But my mom, do you know it?
Well, I know Native Americans, bee energy is about details, especially around the moment, the love in the moment, drawing the love out from the moment, drawing the nectar out.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Wow. Yeah,
and we've had hummingbirds also, same kind of concept, joy through the sorrow.
Beautiful. That all means so much. That's great. We shared with the bees, we shared with the birds. We're in beautiful Hollywood, California. Shouts out to Brian, the Independent Artist Spotlight. I'm grateful to be spotlighted today. My name's Blimes.
Sincerely yours, it's Blimes, baby. Sincerely yours, cause I am what you made me.